Hello, everyone. So we are back. As I said, it was a quick break, and we are back to this next session, which is connecting industry and academy, creating the right synergies. So without further ado, I will introduce our moderator for this session, who is Ana Noronha, Executive Director at Ciência, Viva. Ana, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. So welcome to this roundtable where we are going to discuss the synergies between academia and industry regarding careers. We will start with Marta Gonçalves, who is the Education and Science Officer at the Portuguese Space Agency, Portugal Space.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Anna, also for the introduction, and hello to my colleagues from the panel. So a short introduction about myself and about the agency. So my name is Marta. As Anna presented, I am Education and Science Officer at Portugal Space. A short introduction just about the agency. We are a recent agency, Portugal Space. We were created in 2019 with the main goal to implement the National Strategy for Space, Portugal Space 2030. We are mainly a promoting agency, which means we don't really have industrial activities, research activities, but the goal is to promote opportunities that go towards the strategy that was defined, and of course towards the interests of all the different actors of the space ecosystem. Furthermore, Portugal Space also represents Portugal in different international organizations such as ESA, European Space Agency, ESO, European Southern Observatory, SCA, Square Kilometer Array, the Commission for Horizon Europe, the Space Program, the Copernicus, Galileo, etc., and some others. And I'm not sure if you want me also to talk a little bit more about some initiatives that we have, or if we leave it for the conversation.
Maybe we leave it for the conversation.
Thank you.
I would prefer if you all do this like this, saying who you are, introducing yourself, and then let the conversation flow, because I think it will be more rich for those who are listening to us, for our audience. So I will ask now José Miguel de Pablo, who is the CEO of CRIDA, and CRIDA is a center of reference and of transfers from connecting the Spanish Air Control Authority and the Academy for Research and Innovation. So José Miguel, please.
Thank you very much. I believe I'm here because I have been playing the role in different places. So I have experience nearly everywhere in this ambient. I could not say that I have a lot of very good experience, but at least I have been working. I have been working for the industry when I started. I used to work for Indra in the past. Then I joined the service provider in space, not exactly the authority, but it's okay. It's the service provider for air traffic navigation services, AED. And then in parallel to this, I was teaching at the university, at the Polytechnic University in Madrid. So I have the experience in the university, in the industry, in the service provider. And when I was working for AED, they told us that if we have problems relating the university and the industry in general, the best thing we could do is to make a kind of marriage. And this is CRIDA. That is a company that has among the stakeholders the industry, in this case AED, but also the university. Those two bits are stakeholders. CRIDA was created in 2008, so 13 years ago. And in the contrary that Marta has explained us before, we are doing research and development activities, and we are trying to look as providers of technology to the university, not only to the Polytechnic University, but to other universities also. So we are, I believe, full aware of the problems, full aware of the best solution we have been able to look for, but for sure we have not all the solutions and not all the possibilities. And I expect that this discussion today will enrich us. Thank you.
Thank you for your very nice introduction, and also a very nice image of marrying academia and industry and the different types of marriages that we are going to hear about here today. So we have now a very important component, which is the role of women in this, in the staff of companies and in this area. And we are going to hear Friederike Fechner, who is from the Technicale and who leads a project on to promote women in STEM, particularly in aerospace. So Friederike, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Anna. And hello from Germany. Hello from Hamburg. Yeah, my name is Friederike and I'm the project head of Technicale. And I'm going to give a really short and brief introduction to Technicale because I'm sure a lot of you haven't heard of Technicale so far. So I do have a few slides prepared that I want to share with you. So one second. Anna, you need to help me. Can you see my screen now? Can you see?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So we start here. Technicale is based in Hamburg and we offer a study orientation and qualification gap year, especially designed for girls and young women who are interested in STEM. The program is intended to reduce the current shortage of female experts and managers in the area, and we are funded by the Hamburg Ministry of Economics and Innovation. And Technicale is based at the Zahl Tech Center in Hamburg. And as I said, I'm going to give you a very brief intro of what Technicale is about and what we offer to our students. At Technicale, our students have the chance to experience technology hands-on. So we offer 3 different kinds of internships. Those are quite long-term internships. And we also offer different seminars and workshops in the STEM area. For example, you can also receive credit points in the area of computer-aided design or technical drawing. Technicale is in 11-month orientation year. So the girls have the chance to really experience and find out what they are good at, what they like doing, and what their STEM heart beats for. Another important factor about Technicale is creating sustainable networks. As I said, we do offer a lot of internships, but we are also visiting a lot of different companies as well as universities in our gap year. We also have the so-called speed datings and fireside chats, where we talk to role models from the STEM area. We had, for example, Daniela Lovas, the CTO of Airbus, visiting us, and our students had the chance to learn from her experiences and ask questions firsthand. And also what makes Technicale quite special is that we have personal development classes and career counseling. So we do offer classes in team management and conflict management, rhetoric, salary negotiations, but also philosophy and other ethical classes, just to ensure that our girls are well prepared for future jobs and also future studies. And this is our success story. More than 90% of our Technicale participants actually choose STEM study programs or STEM careers. And also the interest in Technicale is steadily growing. Just this year, our application numbers rose up to 74% compared to last year. So we are very happy about these numbers. And I am very honored to be part of this panel. And I'm really looking forward to the upcoming discussions afterward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Friederike. So now we will hear Ricardo Mesquita from Nova SBE, the Nova School Business and Economics. And I guess he has a new program to present very quickly.
Absolutely, Anna. Thank you so much. I'll follow on Friederike's lead and I'll quickly share my screen. My name is Ricardo Mesquita. I'm the head of innovation at Nova School of Business and Economics based out of Portugal. We're very close to Lisbon and Carcavelos. So what my contribution is today is that we've partnered with 3 other business schools in Europe, namely the University of St. Gallen and the Rotterdam School of Management, and we've produced quite a unique program, which is one of the very first that addresses the opportunities in new space from a business perspective. So what we've done is we've built 3 different modules that are being spread through the 3 different campuses, starting in St. Gallen in Switzerland, and then coming over to Portugal at the beginning of 2022, and then finishing in the Netherlands in Rotterdam, and having a very final module with ESA, with the European Space Agency, in the Netherlands as well. We look at space as the new frontier. We believe that space technology will be very much front and center during the next following years. And we believe also that we need to be able to train and share business knowledge so that the opportunities in this new space economy are being enjoyed by multiple industries. So what we've done is we've aimed at having startups and scale-ups who want to grow their business and explore new space opportunities. So we see clearly a need from the market. So we're really being responsive to what we've listened from our partners. And what we're looking into is for participants in this program is to gain in-depth knowledge of space industry opportunities. We want to make sure that both space and non-space ventures enjoy what we're trying to build around this program. It's the very first edition, so it's a pilot edition that we'll be launching this year already in about 2 months, and finishing up right before the summer of 2022. We were looking for people with mostly a technical background, but what we're really trying to do is build a community around space. And this is really how it looks like. The program really caters to people who want to get ready to embrace the new economy, check future trends, design and develop new business models for the space market. Also, process of ideation, how to raise capital, and a more entrepreneurial approach will be regarded along the program. And then we move into a more accelerated pace where we try to scale up businesses, so both entrepreneurs and corporates can enjoy the program and extract value from it. And then we'll do a touchdown, as we call it, as a ecosystem in the Netherlands, where we'll do the demo day and the graduation. In between each presential module that will happen in 3 different countries, we will have online sessions, master classes, and a very own personal project from each of the participants. These are the dates that we're rolling out. And I think that mostly today I'd love to contribute and explore ways where we can support anyone with an interest in space to develop their skills in order to be able to grow their business. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing my screen now. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ricardo, as far as I understand, the students who will enroll in those courses are people already at the level of master degree, so they are graduates.
Yeah, ideally people who will have a level of experience, not necessarily a master's, but I would say someone with work experience that either is an entrepreneur or already works in a corporate environment. It's not. It is an open enrollment program, non-degree, so it's very flexible on the background. Yeah.
Okay. And for Friederike, since you say that most of the girls who enroll in those courses follow STEM careers, so I presume it's at the undergraduate level?
Yeah, that's correct. It's right between school and university entry. Okay. So it's basically meant for study orientation, so you get an idea of different STEM options.
Okay, but you can, so you have girls who finish secondary school, and before going to the university, they go to that course.
Exactly.
Right? But just girls that are already in STEM courses, or could a girl that has studied, for example, law or whatever, is she able to follow a course like that and decide I want to go into STEM? Is that possible?
Yes, definitely. We are open for all different kinds of female students. We even have students from other countries, not just Germany, but also Portugal and Spain, for example, and also Ecuador and Brazil. So it doesn't really matter if you have a STEM background from school. It's just important that you have a STEM interest and you want to find out more about it and learn the different options in careers. Yeah.
Okay. Marta, so this is even open to Portuguese girls. So, but you as an agency, the Portugal Space has a lot of, although it doesn't do research, as you said, but it stimulates and fosters and makes connections. So can you give us a glimpse of what is being done to stimulate people to go into space careers?
Of course. Anna actually knows this very well, as we work closely with Ciência, Viva in many initiatives. But it is very interesting what Friederike was also saying, because obviously this is also a concern for us. We don't see many girls enrolling in STEM courses. I think more we see, now we see it more and more, but still it's a very male-dominated world, let's say like this. But for example, we now have actually in 10 days, we'll be starting our European Rocketry Challenge, EUROC, our second edition. This is a competition for university students where they actually have to design, build, and then launch their rockets up to 3 or 10 kilometers height. This is happening now in Ponte Sor in a week and a half. And this year we'll have 400 students coming from 13 different countries, 19 teams. And actually one of our concerns was try and promote that more girls would participate in these teams. It happened last year and there were not too many girls. I think this year we'll see more, which is also very nice. But this is also a very good event that we have welcomed here in Portugal. As I was saying, this is the second edition. It actually links also academia and industry very well, as obviously these students come from the university. Their advisors are professors and researchers from the university, but they also look outside the university to design and build their rockets with industry, right? Because for the more practical knowledge, they also look outside the university. In Portugal now, we actually have one team that will be competing, but it's very interesting to see that from last year to this year, more teams are arising now in Portugal. So it is gaining some traction. Also, the industry is interested in associating themselves with the event. Actually, AED is now one of our sponsors. Actually, the message that passes also is that industry is interested in knowing the students, in interacting the students, because these students can also be, you know, the future human capital for the space sector, and obviously for these companies. But other than this, for example, we promoted some summer schools last year, and the goal is now to continue and promote summer schools, but reinforcing the interaction between the students, the academia, the professors, but also try and give them some experiences within the industry so they can know both worlds, let's say like this, so they can try and understand what will be waiting for them once they go out the university.
Thank you. And José Miguel, you who belong to both worlds, how do you see these kind of initiatives and the importance of them? Is the industry paying attention to these initiatives, fostering them, or what do they think about this?
I have to say that I know a number of those initiatives and I appreciate them because I know really how difficult it is to organize these kind of things. And it's quite good to be part of those initiatives. I have to say that apart from those kind of initiatives like the one that Marta has explained us, there should be some more attention about the real needs of the industry. Sometimes we see that there are at the universities, let me be a bit critical, okay? There are a wish to sell what they are doing. And that is a product looking for a customer. And in the industry, we are plenty of needs. So it's much better if the product they are trying to give us is the product we are looking for than a solution looking for a problem. That is sometimes what is coming from the university. I have to say that apart from this kind of local initiatives, a strong and long-term cooperation between the university and the industry is what is really needed. If I have to give you an example of good practice or best practice in a way that we could say from CRIDA is that if you would like to have a relationship with the universities, you should look for long-term. You should not look for short-term because it's very, very difficult to make understand in both directions, to make understand the industry, the real research that the university is doing, and to make understand the industry that the pure research without practical application is useless for the industry. And achieving this knowledge from both sides is really difficult without a strong and long-term relationship. So that's probably my main point. I have been hearing about summer schools we did. Those summer schools in the area of ATM, that is the one that where I belong normally, are quite successful, and in fact they moved from Spain to be centralized by a project from the European Union that is now doing the things in a different way. We sponsor students with grants, we sponsor overgraduate students with doctorships and things like that. All those things are very useful. We even create a cluster of universities teaching ATM matters in Spain. And with this, we launch grants for TFGs for students or things like that, or even what we call open innovation, looking for business ideas and things like that. But all those initiatives are particular ones. I believe the best thing is to have long-term relationship with the university. And having students inside the company, I could say two things that are probably interesting for you, probably are part of the reasons why I am here today, is that nearly 2/3 of the people working right now in CRIDA, we are not an enormous company, but we have a medium size, something like 50 to 70 people, depending on the moment. 2/3 are coming from grants. That means people that start working with us with a grant, being students at the university, developing their final career studies with us, and then recruited by the company. And another one that is also probably interesting for Marta and Friederike, both of them, is that 1/3 of the people in CRIDA are women. 1/3 in this area, that is all of them are engineers, and not only from Spain, but coming from different parts. We have at least a couple of them that are Chinese people. So 1/3 is quite a lot in this ambient. So I could say that this sometimes should be encouraged, but it's not exactly that, because when we recruit women, it's because we believe they have an added value for this. And I could say that because my wife is an engineer also.
But Jose Miguel, for some reason, there are also cultural reasons at play. For some reason, in the southern countries, there are generally more women in the STEM professionals than in the north. I never understood why. In Portugal, for example, there are many women in comparatively to other countries, but I know that Spain is also well in this respect, and I really do not know why. In northern countries, there are more women MPs, women in government, etc., but not women in STEM. I don't know why. So this might be other cultural reasons that are here at play. But it is very important what you have said. So this means that the most important thing is probably trust.
Yeah,
trust between the two partners, not seeing this as two antagonic worlds, but seeing as partners who have to work together. And what would be, I understand there are no recipes, but can you give us some tips on how to establish, if we want to establish first this relationship, what would you recommend?
In our case, it was so difficult that they decided, as I told you before, a marriage is the only way to avoid that the two families are fighting forever. So at the council of the company, I have once a year at least, we have the top of the university that is the founder of this is the Polytechnic University of Madrid, that is the dean of the university, is part of our management team, and the president of Fechner, the CEO of Fechner, that is a big company managing all the control centers and towers and control towers and so on in Spain, is also in this. So when you do that, what you are telling, the message you are giving is that, okay, we know it's difficult, but we have the intention to keep trying during a long time. And that means that I have framework agreements with the universities, not with one, with several of them. And the specific tasks are to the service of the framework agreement. It's not that we have a specific interest in developing something and then we have a contract, we finish, and that's over. Because normally in this kind of approach, you have enormous problems because they do not understand, the university don't understand exactly what you are looking for, and you do not understand really what the university could bring to you. So you are asking things that are not in their capabilities, and they are offering you things that you are not able to incorporate to your company.
Yeah.
So knowing each other is something even go a little bit farther than you say that trust. Trust is good, but could be broken. So the knowledge is something that is much more difficult to break. So when you are looking, to a plumber for your home, you need to know what the plumber is doing, and you need to contract a plumber that is doing the right job, for your house, not one that is wonderful for an industry, preparing gasoducts or things like that, but your bathroom will not work properly. So this is not even trust, because you could trust in the plumber that is preparing gasoducts.
Yeah.
This is knowing, and the knowing needs time.
Yeah.
That's the point. Long-term relationships bring benefits, and that means agreements, not with the intention to be wonderful at the beginning and then forget, but to build those relationships and building bridges. That is, as I told you before, we create a cluster of universities. In this cluster, there is people that are teaching ATM matters, air traffic management matters, but they should work as a link between the companies, the industry, and the university. Because I am completely sure, at least I will give you the example of my stakeholder, the Polytechnic University of Madrid, that is a big one here in Spain. The relationship with the cluster is for the people of the aeronautical school. They are the representatives, but they have the duty to help us to look inside the whole of the university, the rest of the capabilities that could be helpful for us. And there is a computing faculty at the university, very good in terms of artificial intelligence and so on. And the one that brings us this relationship is the people from ATM, because they know it's in their own business, it's at the university. Building these kind of bridges are critical. If not, you finish working with people that is not the one you are looking for.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Ricardo, I guess that at Nova SBE, you have also a large experience of working with companies and bridging these gaps.
Absolutely, Anna. And I wanted to pick up on a couple of things that Juan de Pablo said, because I like the idea of a solution in search of a problem. I think we've started the other way around on designing and building the Space for Business, the European Space for Business program, because we started by listening to the industry all over Europe. We made sure that we addressed the issues that were being from a business and management perspective. This is what I'm saying. So this is not a technical program. It's much more a layer of business expertise that will be given to, say, a systems engineer, or someone who wants to venture out and launch their own startup and look at space as a possibility in terms of market. And the other thing is, I like the idea of long cycles. So it takes time, and it takes time to build the relationships, and it takes time to actually build something that works, especially in space. We've built relationships with Portugal Space. Marta and her team have endorsed our program with the Air Center in Portugal, obviously with the European Space Agency Space Solutions as well. So we've tried to build a network all over Europe to make sure that we are being responsive to the market needs. So not actually putting something out there that does not have a recognized value to the people that might want to participate in the program. I also believe that we should have diversity in our program. So another thing we're doing is try to find not only gender balance, but we're trying to gather participants from all over Europe. And we're now building scholarships as well for this first edition, but hopefully for the future as well, that can incentivize anyone who has the qualifications and the urge to actually go through the program and being able to do it. And women in space and others, I think, are fundamental. And also we're looking at faculty and trying to attract the best talent, Portuguese, otherwise Swiss, from the Netherlands, but from all over the world, to be on the either physically on the modules, but also on the online sessions, on the master classes. So I think this will bring a certain level of richness and to quite a pioneer project of 3 top-ranked business schools in Europe. So I'm pretty much looking forward to see the impact. And the interesting thing also is that we're looking at a lot of young people, on their late 20s, early 30s, looking at really seriously looking at space as a possibility to develop their career and their businesses. So I think we're tapping into something important, and I think we should do it together as a whole.
Do you think now, maybe this is a question maybe for you and for Marta as well, do you think that people already see space as a business? Because before New Space, people didn't usually consider space as a business because it was so huge that it's a not for me question. It would be for Boeing or for Airbus or the big companies. So how do you see this idea of making business in space progressing into young people?
Ricardo, I don't know if you want to comment first, but
go Marta.
I think, and you're right. I think the paradigm change is changing right now with smaller companies and new businesses. But one of the goals of the agency is also expanding the horizons of, especially now, younger people, so they can stop seeing space as something complex and so far away from themselves, but something that is quite closer and that is actually in everything, right? It's not just building rockets, right? Yeah. It's so much more. And actually now with the increasing number of satellites and data coming from space, I mean, now more than ever, we now have to have the capabilities to not only use the information, but actually now treat the data, have information, and then use it. And that brings a new world of possibilities that it's so much more than just building rockets. And I think that is one of the main missions of the agency as well, is to open space for everyone and show what space has to offer, right? Which is so much more now than it was, 10 or 20 or 30 years ago.
And I guess Friederike would also like to comment on this, because this idea that space is not just building rockets, I guess, is attractive for many women, although I am a woman. I love rockets, of course. So I don't know if Friederike wants to comment, or Ricardo, or both.
Yes, I just had in mind that, especially in this class, we had a lot of girls who are interested in becoming astronauts. So especially in this class, I got the impression that a lot of girls are now interested or more interested in actually going to space. And I think also Elon Musk, for example, is a great example now to picture space tourism and everything. So I think, yeah, broader variety of people is actually interested in the topic of space nowadays.
So stereotypes are falling down.
Yes.
Can I add on that,
Yes,
Anna?
please.
Yeah, so I'm just a couple of notes. So you mentioned Elon Musk. I think that in the last couple of months, we've seen Jeff Bezos, we've seen Richard Branson, we've seen age barriers and diversity of so space all of a sudden became something closer and reachable, right? So that's one. Besides all the efforts that each one of those outlets, private outlets, which are something also in the past being done by NASA or now all of a sudden you have players that are in the private players reaching out to the stars, right? And then the other thing is that all of a sudden you start having low orbit satellites, or you start having data that you need to process for Earth observation, and that might help you create predictive models to help crops, because you can impact the way you do agriculture right on Earth, right? If you're able to predict when it's going to rain, or if a field, if there's going to be wind, then if you water that field, it's going to be wasted. So I think that all of a sudden textile, what will you wear in space? So all of a sudden these industries that have never looked at space as a possibility say, well, why not? I can build a component that will be part of a bigger, hardware or a bigger machine, rockets or otherwise. But the sheer need of a new market out there, and the fact that people realize that they can be part upstream or downstream, they can be part of that chain, is just all of a sudden it became possible. And I think that possibility, it's going to accelerate in the next decade. And there's a huge number of people that are looking at it and say, well, I want to do this. So I think it's great that if we can help them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We have been talking so far mainly about people who go to university, either engineering or business schools, but people at university level. But if the aerospace industry is going to thrive, you will need much more than that. You will need skilled personnel at all levels. So how do you see this point? What I don't know if you want to add something about this. Are our professional schools prepared?
Well, I can maybe, Ricardo, then I can pass you the word, but I would say that I think creating the interests of our students is also important to then push professional schools to also offer these kinds of not degrees but courses, professional courses. And I absolutely agree when you talk about not only being university level, right? There's so much technical competences that you will need in the future to sustain the development, hopefully the growth of the space sector, the infrastructures. And I absolutely think that's a critical point, that we are now targeting more students, but definitely professional schools should be a priority as well.
For example, we see them in the CANSAT competition, which is for secondary school students. There are many professional schools applying, but then I don't know if afterwards at the next level they will have something that will enable them to continue to work, thinking of dreaming about space. And even aeronautics. Aeronautics is requires very well-trained, skilled workforce. So there are lots of professionals now that I don't know if professional schools are training them at adequate level.
Sorry, Ricardo.
Can I go, Marta? So
yes,
I just wanted to add two things on that. The first thing is, I think we need examples. I mean, we need people, both male, female, that are entrepreneurs that have made it successfully. Yes, some of them have a higher degree or higher education, and they've worked considerably to reach where they are today. I'm thinking about Nuno Sebastião from Pizza. He just invested in space, and that's an example, quite visible, Portuguese entrepreneur. But I'm thinking of others, right? Each country and each reality has its own. And also, once you start seeing less qualified but extremely skilled people being very visible in the way they enter the realm of space, I think then it becomes possible. Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to answer. I think there was a question on the chat, not to diverge from the conversation. There was a question from someone on the audience asking if they could launch their own startup or accelerate their own startup projects within the program at the Nova SB, Rotterdam School of Management, and the University of St. Gallen, the one that Space for Vision. And yes, you can bring your own program. You can bring your own project and actually use it as your own personal project throughout the whole program. Thank you.
So we are going to see very interesting developments in the near future regarding this area, but we must make sure that we will have the appropriate workforce. And one of the important parts is, as you said, making them visible, making them known by the public, making them, let's say, heroes, making them visible, because being in a space professional is not just being an astronaut, which is, of course, the most visible professional in the space, but there are many, many people who are critically important and who are not, and who people don't know that they exist. And also with new applications, you mentioned agriculture, etc., fisheries, etc. So it is very important also to make known to the public that that space has all these kind of applications. What would you suggest in this regard? Having more dissemination in the projects. And I would say also the professionals communicating better. Maybe you would like to comment on the new skills that are needed nowadays in the space professional, not just technical skills, but also the so-called soft skills.
If you allow me, I will try to answer your question. It is true, it's not probably my strongest point to try to make know the people what we are doing and the importance that this kind of things has, or even try to attract those people. But you are completely right. If you don't communicate properly what is coming from space and from aeronautics in general to the general society, far beyond the business in itself, the aeronautics or astronautics. If you have a look, that job was very well done by the Americans when the beginning of the NASA. Everyone knows that half of the things we have in our day-to-day life comes from space. But it seems that this stopped a long time ago. From materials to communications coming from food, the way in which we prepare food, some things like that are a clear relationship from space, but this seems to come only from NASA. I do believe the European Space Agency is not running the same level of communication, and this is needed, clearly. This is needed for attracting people. This is needed for having the best possible people with us. You have described some challenges. I was remembering that right now, there is a challenge that the official college for aeronautical engineers that are also for astronautical in Spain has launched to every one of the Spanish areas for the schools, for the basic schools, to prepare things dealing with drones. That is probably part of the things for the future. It's not rockets, but it's quite interesting because even in space, you are right now thinking in having some kind of drones in maths or things like that. So there are plenty of applications, everything, and we need to give some more publicity. You say, let me go back to the question you put before about not university students, more professional students in other areas. You say before that we have to attract those guys, and what should be done? I'm afraid this is a technologically intensive thing, and we have to distinguish which things needs a higher degree education and what not, and try to attract both of them. But I do believe that if they would like to go far in their careers, probably what we have to do is to easy the jump from professional studies to university studies. That is something quite important if they would like to progress. I mean, we are now hiring people that are very good programmers and they come from the university. But I do believe there are people coming from professional degrees that could also make this kind of programming. But as soon as they are in the business, they will notice that they would like to progress, and then they will need to increase the level of studies they have. And that's something we have to easy. I don't know if this answers the question you are asking.
Yes, that is a good answer. In fact, in Portugal, there are now some special places at university for students who come from professional schools to ease that path. But they might want to do that jump, that decision later on in career when they are working in a factory or working in some place and then deciding that I need to progress further. I need to go into university. So this is an important part. The other thing I would like to ask is if you think that we will need to requalify people who are already around, working in other industries and or in other areas, and requalifying them for space. I guess this should be pretty easy for people who are already at have university degrees, let's say an agronomical engineer learning about space to know how to apply it in their field, or a marine scientist learning how to apply it in their field, but not so easy for other professions. I don't know if you are considering retraining some of these people for these new space technologies.
Can I comment, Anna? Although the European Space for Business program is not aimed at reskilling, because it's a very managerial, business-oriented, and sort of a layer on top of a participant that already has a background, I would definitely urge the participants to look at anything that it's out there in the market, and if they have a passion for space, start building sort of like a Lego, the building blocks that will allow them to shift their careers into that into this opportunity. I think that anybody with an analytical profile, strong maths and stats, even if they don't have a degree in engineering, can dig deeper and work the data. For instance, there's a lot of data coming from space, and I think not enough of us are looking at it or making it actionable to make business decisions based on that, right? And I think that we will come to a point where everything will be measured on Earth from space very easily, probably with live feeds, and people will know exactly where you are in a certain specific point in time. And I think that you will need a lot of people to be able to work those models. So it's not just going out there. I think it's a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, but this question of creating role models and communicating better with the public would help to attract more people for these careers and more attention of the public. So, allowing the public to support this politically, to get more political support. Because if you have support from the public, it is easier to get political support, and you will certainly have more students. As José Miguel was telling about the program of the university supporting kids, to younger students, to build drones. The European Space Agency has a, I would say, very successful program, education program in each member country. We are the representatives, Ciência, Viva, in Portugal, the Zeros, so to bring space to the younger people. But I think that this should be an obligation of all the companies and people. What do you think?
I have to agree. If you allow me try to answer the question. Again, I will go back to your previous question before to answer this one, just to give a different perspective on that. You say if we should reskill people, attracting people from other areas to the aeronautics and aerospace industry, and I have to say that we should reskill ourselves, because every time we attract this kind of people, they bring the experience they have in other areas, and this experience is invaluable for our area, clearly. So it's two ways issue. It's not only to reskill them, to transform them in perfect aerospace engineers, it's also that they come with their own experience, I don't know, in the nuclear area, and things dealing with safety are incredibly best treated in this arena than in others. So they bring their own experience on that. And let me not answer your last question, but give you again a different perspective. You ask for more support, from more public support, and you say that every industry should support. I encourage a little bit more the second than the first, because the public support is what brings the aerospace industry where there is right now. NASA, the support that the American government gives to NASA was stopped in one moment, quite cut. And then we know what happens with the space programs. And now the space programs are reviving, looking to a different business that is spatial tourism, industrial applications, or things like that. So trying to go to the roots is good. We need to look for public support, but we could not rely on that, because this is depending on politics. And we know that politics is not always, has not always a long run view.
So it is important, what it is important is other businesses support, getting space known from other business, from the private sector, letting them know that there are business also there for them, and that's important for them.
Trying to show that there are applications, short-term applications, not only long-term applications. And nowadays, this is quite clear, there are.
Okay, there are here some questions. Students who are non-European graduates and have talent but find it difficult to get a job in the aviation and aerospace sector in entry level due to their national status. How to find our way into the industry? Of the problem of different nationalities. I don't know if this is the right panel to answer this, because this is I think beyond your this is beyond your areas. So, but
and I would risk to say that if you're well trained, and if you're competitive and good at what you do, that will probably give you leeway to apply to a specific position. I think the most skilled will usually can show the quality of their work, usually get a foot in the door.
I think that we have to conclude. We are arriving to the end of our roundtable. So thank you for this very enlightening and nice discussion. I hope that our audience has enjoyed. I guess it was a 1 hour which slipped. It was incredible, and we have known how the space business is important nowadays, and how it will need to train the skilled workforce at all levels, at different levels, from professional level to engineers and and also the importance of having a diverse workforce with many women and other minorities included, and also the importance of reskilling, and most of all, the most important thing, and as a conclusion of this roundtable, is these synergies that have to be found between academia and companies, and which should be from long-lasting collaboration, not expecting an immediate success, but long-lasting relationship, trust, and long-term collaboration. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Anna.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, AED.
Thank you to all the
Okay, guys.
speakers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. So, Anna, I totally agree with you. It was this conversation format was perfect and very appealing for the audience. I think it was it passed in a blink of an eye. So and thank you for complying with the timing we needed. So we will now pass to the other session. So we talked about synergies and how to connect industry and academia. Now we will talk about the role of the cluster. What should AED cluster do about this problematic? So we will be back. We will do just a quick break, and we'll be back for this next session. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.